friends, welcome to our presentation on the game of NIM. By us, Kayla, Kara, and Austin. You all may be thinking, what is NIM? Well, NIM is a mathematical strategy game which led to some of the biggest advancements in the combinatorial game theory. It is a two-player game where players take turns taking items out of heaps. It is considered an impartial game, which means that the allowable moves depend on the position, not on which of the two players is currently moving. This is similar to games like Picking Stones and Mancala.
Ha, Kara, that sounds really boring.
But wait, there's more. The origin of NIM is unknown.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, some say it originated in China and is said to be a variation of the game Picking Stones.
Austin, is that drawing supposed to be China?
Yes, of course.
Anyways, it was also mentioned in Europe in the early 16th century.
Oh, so now I'm guessing this is a drawing of Europe.
Oh my gosh, how did you know?
Finally, in 1901, Charles L. Bouton from Harvard University coined the word NIM, and NIM directly translated to the word take in German, which turned out to be what the game revolves around. Before we start playing, it is important to review a few words that are used frequently throughout the game. First is the pile or heap, and a pile or heap is one of the rows in the game of NIM. For example, each of the groups of circles that are circled is one pile or heap. The next word is the number, and the number is simply the number of objects in each pile or heap. In this example, the topmost pile, number, is 5. The next word is binary, and binary is a way of referring to numbers using base 2 rather than base 10. Binary is used when calculating the NIM sum. And the NIM sum is a mathematical operation that can be used to determine who will win the game. It may sound a little confusing right now, but we'll explain more later.
Now, let's talk about how to actually play. The rules of a game are simple. 2 is the maximum number of people that could play, and a turn consists of a player taking at least one thing from a pile. Normally, the way to win is when a player takes away the last item, but another way is leaving the last item, making their opponent lose.
Now let's take a look at an example game with Kayla and Austin. When playing NIM, organize your items into 3 piles, one having 3 objects, the other 5, and the last one 7. Once the piles are created, the players decide who goes first, and then the game can begin. Like I mentioned before, a player can remove 1 or more items, but all of the items must be from the same pile or heap. Each player takes a turn until one person takes the last object.
Yay, I win!
No. Kayla actually wins because she took the last object. Now it's your turn. You have 2 minutes to play several games of NIM. Don't eat your Skittles until you are done.
Your time starts now. Beep beep! Time's up. Now you may eat your Skittles.
The strategy of NIM involves calculating a NIM sum. The NIM sum utilizes the numbers of a game, or the number of items in each heap. In this example, the heaps have 3, 5, and 7 items, so each heap's number is 3, 5, and 7 respectively. To calculate the NIM sum, each number must first be converted to binary form, which utilizes place values of base 2. For example, 3 is the sum of 2 to the first and 2 to the 0, so we put a 1 in both the 2 to the first place and 2 to the 0th place. 5 is the sum of 2 squared and 2 to the 0, so we put a 1 in each of these places, filling in the missing space with a 0. 7 is the sum of 2 squared, 2 to the first, and 2 to the 0, so we put a 1 in all of those places. To find the NIM sum, we would add the binary numbers as we normally would add. Then we would replace the even numbers, like 2, with zeros, and replace the odd numbers with 1s. We would convert the result back into base 10 form. For a player to win NIM, they must make the NIM sum equal to 0 every time it is their turn. It is impossible for the opposing player to start their turn with a NIM sum of 0 and keep the NIM sum as 0, and as long as the first player does not make any mistakes, they will win. Now to show how the NIM sum would be used in a game, we have heaps of 5, 3, and 2. This yields a NIM sum of 4. If I want to win, I need to make the NIM sum 0. So I need to replace this 1 with a 0, which makes the top row 1. And so I take 4 items from the top heap. As you can see, this makes the NIM sum 0. Now on Kayla's turn, there's nothing she can do to make the NIM sum 0 again, so she just does something random, like take away the bottom row, which makes the NIM sum 2. When it's my turn again, I want to make the NIM sum 0, so I make this one 0, making the second row equal to 1, and I take away 2 items from the second heap. At this point, Kayla knows she's lost, taking an item from the second row, leaving me to take the last item.
You may be wondering, how does NIM relate to math? Well, NIM actually uses a lot of math to calculate the NIM sum and also to change numbers into binary, and thus binary is equal to math, because it uses base 2 instead of base 10 and converts between the two to calculate the NIM sum.
There are also many variations of the game. One of them is circular NIM, where any number of objects are placed in a circle and the two players can alternately remove 1, 2, or 3 adjacent ones. Another variation is greedy NIM. With this game, the players are restricted to choosing items from only the largest pile. Building NIM is where the players construct the game given a certain number of pieces and empty piles. The players alternate placing one or more items into a pile of their choice. Once all of them are placed, a standard game of NIM begins, starting with the next player that would move. The last variant I will be talking about is unbalanced NIM, where the same rules of standard NIM apply, but the extra rule is that any of the two piles cannot have the same amount of objects in them. Despite its simple gameplay, NIM requires a lot of thinking and calculations when finding the NIM sum in order to win, no matter how many objects your opponent takes. Obviously, the strategy we mentioned doesn't have to be used all the time, and this game can be simply played for fun. So whenever you're bored in class, grab a buddy and a couple of items and play NIM.